All right, let's talk about this baffling IPO that's about to happen here. This is either going to blow up the entire stock market or we're going to go up. It's going to go one of two ways, and there's not going to be much wiggle room to be able to get out of this one. Strap your pants and get your bootstraps ready because if you're not, your hunky dory pants are about to blow off your legs clean off. We're going to be talking about the SpaceX IPO. All right, so SpaceX has quietly become an AI cloud company, and Google is paying $1 billion a month for GPU compute. Google, out of all companies, right? You would think to yourself, Google? Doesn't Google have their own servers? Yes, sir, you'd be right. So, what is the interest of Google? On June 5th, we entered a cloud service agreement with Google with respect to access to compute. They provided access to 110K NVIDIA GPUs, CPUs, memory, and other related components pursuant to the agreement. The customer has paid us $920 million per month through June 2029, with capacity ramping up through September at a reduced fee. If we fail to deliver access to the committed GPUs by September 30th, then there will be a 1 month grace period. Google may immediately terminate the agreement or accept the number of GPUs provided, corresponding pro-rated reduction in monthly fees. After December 31st, 2026, the agreement may be terminated by either party upon 90-day notice. So basically, if you do the research, you find out that Google turns out that they have a 5% stake in SpaceX. Oh, they have a 5% stake. Is that so? So they have a vested interest to pump SpaceX. Alphabet and Google as a company, they have a vested interest to make sure that the SpaceX IPO goes well, because if it doesn't, then the money for the data centers is going to start drying up and investors will be pretty scared. I love this one comment. So they say now it's going to be worth 6 trillion because of this now new Google deal. SpaceX has earmarked 30% of its IPO for retail investors. Typically, standard IPOs only allocate between 5 and 10%. So when you break this down, SpaceX is relying on the hype boosters to be able to get this stock over the edge and keep it at 1.75 trillion. Is this overhyped? Last week, before this IPO, there's so many people wanting to invest into SpaceX that there was a similar ticker called SPCE. And then you see all over Reddit that people were buying SPCE. You can see these memes that people are making about SPCE killing SpaceX because of the hype around it. I love this one comment. You can watch this turn into a $1 trillion meme. I'm not even kidding. People were that hyped about this stock. You would see posts like this all over Reddit. Upvote if you invested in SPCE. Like, you'd see this garbage AI image, complete trash, and yet people still wanted to send it. Top comment on this: crazy man. From the peak down to what it is today on June 7th, it dropped 41% from peak. Is the SpaceX IPO oversubscribed? We see posts like this on Reddit where people are allocating 125,000 USD on margin just to get this into the SpaceX IPO. With their market cap of 1.75 trillion, that means that SpaceX will land itself as above Walmart, above Micron, above Eli Lilly, above Berkshire. In between these two companies, it's going to be the 12th largest company in the world. When you look at the amount of float available, that'll be available for trading, Elon hasn't given much to retail and to everyone else. It's only going to be 5% of the total float that's actually going to be available to be bought by retail. So it's an extreme constriction of shares, and only $75 billion of it will actually be traded on the market. While only 70% is going to be going to institutions, which usually it's, like we said, only 5% is usually typically allocated, 5 and 10% for individual investors. And what was it? The CFO of SpaceX even came out and he was like, yeah, retail traders are going to be our most important asset in this IPO, or something along those lines. What you're going to see here is that the market is either going to make or break. The SpaceX IPO being overvalued at $1.75 trillion, that means that in order for it to even become the first number one company in the world, it only has 4x growth to surpass Nvidia. I mean, Meta Platforms valued at $2.1 trillion and they have a massive amount of ad revenue and stuff like that. That is kind of crazy. SpaceX burns money. They're not a money maker. They're just a space company with an AI company attached to it that's burning cash on it. I honestly think we have to let it play out. Once it goes IPO, I think we have to just give it minimum a week, 2 weeks, even up to a month, 2 months to get that real pricing priced in. Because I think that initially on IPO day, we're going to see a lot of institutional investors dumping on day one, but we're going to see a lot of up pressure from individual investors, retail investors buying that float that institutions want to get out of. So I would stay cautious and watch what happens. Don't be too bought into this overhype, because what you're seeing happening right now is you're seeing multiple companies. Like, the only one that hasn't capitulated yet is the S&P 500, but the NASDAQ has capitulated, and I believe the Russell 2000 has capitulated, where they've moved their inclusion into the indice from a year down with the S&P, or sorry, with the NASDAQ 100. They moved it down to 15 days inclusion, and the Russell was 5 days inclusion. I might be getting those mixed up, but this is insane. They're relying on passive investors to be able to pump up this bubble right now. And if it doesn't go well, we can see a pretty big collapse happening here, where once Anthropic comes in and OpenAI comes in, I don't think we're going to have enough liquidity in the market to be able to support these 3 massive IPOs, with Anthropic being $800 billion, and who knows how much OpenAI's IPO is going to be. They're bleeding money. You can see Sam Altman going out every single day trying to find funding. These people are running on fumes. And so what we might see happening is that we might be heading to a midterm here, which is why I also think that SpaceX wants to rush it out. They see this upward momentum in the stock market. Going into the midterms, we see a risk that the Republican Party might not win these elections. And that means that free capital that's been going out to Intel might dry up. There's now going to be more pressure on the administration to focus on the midterm elections, and then all the focus is going to move away from the stock market going up and up and up and up. So we're in a pretty odd position here where SpaceX has to pretty much go up. Otherwise, everything else will come down with it. So I think we just need to play it safe and watch what happens. But yeah, those are my thoughts.